I guess I should start again. Sorry about that. You'd think I'd know after all this time. Anyway, I'm welcoming everyone to the meeting of the Council of Thames Center on Monday, April the 20th. And I would like to call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. There are no additions to the agenda, so I'm wondering if I could have a mover and a seconder to approve the agenda as circulated. Deputy Mayor Smybert and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? And that carries. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest from the members of council? Okay, seeing none. We do have a couple announcements tonight. They always disappear when you don't want it to disappear. This is on behalf of Councillor Danielle Lockie, who is away on a work issue tonight. So she would like to make it known that April the 22nd is Earth Day, and she would like to thank the volunteers that came to the Mill Pond cleanup, and also to advise that the Thorndale cleanup is this Saturday, and they're meeting at 9 a.m. at the West Missouri School. And then the other is that the month of April has a number of dates that recognize certain events or activities of note. However, chief among them is the recognition that April is Volunteer Appreciation Month, an opportunity for us as a municipality to recognize all the people who step up to help our communities by volunteering, and volunteering enriches the places where we all choose to live in so many ways. In Thames Center, we have an incredible number of people who are so willingly providing their time, skills, and energies to give back to their communities. So in light of this, I would like to remind everyone and invite all the volunteers in our area to join us for a free breakfast in order to recognize the value of your efforts. Breakfast begins at 7:30 tomorrow morning and goes until 9 a.m. and it's being held at the Thorndale Lions Community Center. So we're looking forward to seeing all our volunteers there. And Steve is preparing his dad jokes as we speak. Okay. All right. Next part of our agenda is item number 7 on your agenda, the public participation meeting for planning, and a recommended motion that council adjourn its regular meeting at 5:03 p.m. and move into the public participation meetings pursuant to the Planning Act to consider applications listed on the April 2026 regular council agenda. So I have a mover in Councillor Heeman, and the seconder is Michelle Smybert, Deputy Mayor Smybert. All in favor? Okay, that carries. First item is consent application B1-26, Shelley Strubin and Benjamin Strubin as applicants, Claire Sherwin as the agent, property address 210 Main Street and 211 Upper Queen Street in Thorndale, and the overview from our planner, Alana Cortez. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. So the purpose and effect of this application is to sever a parcel of land municipally known as 210 Main Street from 211 Upper Queen Street to reverse an inadvertent lot merger. So although 2 dwellings currently exist, a property transfer in 2024, which occurred outside the Planning Act process, resulted in the 2 addresses being merged and legally considered one parcel. No new development or construction is proposed, and there would be no visual changes. So the subject lands are located within the Thorndale settlement area, are fully serviced with municipal water and sanitary sewers, and are designated residential in the Thames Center official plan. Prior to the consent application being submitted, staff consulted legal counsel and internal staff to determine the appropriate mechanism to reverse the mergers of these properties. And through this consultation, it was determined that a consent application was the appropriate tool. So from staff's review, the parcel at 210 Main Street would have a minor lot area deficiency as it is slightly below the minimum requirement in the zoning bylaw. So the minimum lot area for the site-specific residential first density R1-8 zone is the same as the parent residential first density zone being 700 square meters, whereas the severed lot is proposed to be approximately 667 square meters. So this deficiency can be appropriately addressed through a minor variance, which is included as a condition of consent. Overall, the proposal is consistent with the provincial planning statement and conforms to both the county and municipality of Thames Center official plans. Through the circulation of the subject application, comments were received from the county engineer, the director of public works, the drainage superintendent, Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, the chief building official, and ExxonMobil, and these comments are included within the report. No public comments have been received to date. So based on the foregoing, staff recommend that the application B1-26 be approved, subject to the conditions noted in the report for the reasons outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alana. At this time, is there any additional information that the applicant or the agent would like to provide? Would you like to come up to the podium here? The microphone is kind of in the middle of that, just underneath the red button. Yeah. And your name and your property address.
My name's Urs Struven. A couple of years ago, we sold the property where my son Ben and his wife Shelley live. And didn't realize that 210 was part of that. In the interim, we have constructed a house on there, which is rented out now. Our objective is basically to sever this so I can get a mortgage on it. This thing's killing me. So any help I could get in speeding this forward, I would appreciate it. So that's all I have.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Anyone in the gallery who wishes to comment on this application? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone. Anyone online, Sarah?
There's no one online, Your Worship.
Okay. So in that case, I'd like to turn it over now to members of council, should they have any questions or. No? Councillor Heeman?
Thank you, Your Worship. And yeah, I think this is a good bit of housekeeping to get cleared up. And I think we've seen that from time to time where lots unintentionally get merged. And I think it's unfortunate that this is the only way to do that. And it's quite expensive and unique work of our legal system. But I'm just curious about the requirement for the variance. So did was that done originally, or was it not done originally and it's required now as catch-up, or is it required as a condition because this is being considered as a new lot that has to be in conformity?
Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Heeman. So this property was, so 210 Main was part of a severance, I believe, in 2016. And 210 Main Street was the retained lands for that property. And at that time, it was rezoned from R1 to R1-8, which recognized a reduced frontage. I'm not sure, why the lot area wasn't addressed. I don't know what happened at that time. But, at this time, we have to make sure that everything meets zoning today. So because of that, through this process, it was determined that it's deficient in lot area. So that's why a minor variance is required.
So we don't have any record of that. So that's why we're requesting it now to bring it into compliance.
Through Your Worship, to Councillor Heeman, I did look at the bylaw from before and it didn't touch on lot area. But through each consent, each time you do a consent, that lot has to meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw at that time. So this is being addressed at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Okay, there's a lengthy decision before you We would need a mover and a seconder for, and it is appended to your pre-circulated agenda, and it is also on the screen. So a mover, Deputy Mayor Smybert, and seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Okay, and that carries it. There being no further discussion, the public participation meeting is now closed and we have made our decision. Sorry. I threw you a little curve. Sorry. Okay, we'll move on to item number 7.2, consent application B2-26 1441200 Ontario Inc., care of Tanya Janess is the applicant, and the property address is 2250 Elgin Road, County Road number 3, and an overview by our planner, Erin Besh. Go ahead, Erin.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So I'll be presenting report PDS 01826, which relates to consent application B226. This is for the property municipally known as 2250 Elgin Road. The applicant is seeking consent to sever a parcel of land to facilitate a surplus farm dwelling severance as part of a pending farm consolidation. The property itself is approximately 54 hectares in size. It appears to be two properties on our location map. However, they are in the same ownership and they are one parcel. So the entire yellow and red area is the subject lands as they stand today. The property contains a single detached dwelling, a shop, an actively farmed agricultural land, and a significant natural heritage area, which includes woodlands along the Thames River and surrounding the residence itself. So this proposal is what we refer to as a reverse surplus farm dwelling severance, whereas the person who is purchasing the property is the one who qualifies for this type of severance. So the existing dwelling and surrounding lands are proposed to be retained, while the farmland would be conveyed to a bona fide farmer as part of their larger farming operation. The retained parcel is proposed to be approximately 9.1 hectares in size. This would include the dwelling, accessory building, and a substantial portion or the full portion of the woodlot itself. The severed farmland would be approximately 44.5 hectares in size. From a technical standpoint, several of the required criteria for a surplus farm dwelling severance have been met. The dwelling is at least 10 years old. It is habitable. And the applicant has demonstrated that the broader farm operation does qualify for this consolidation. However, the primary issue with this application in the planner's eyes is the size of the parcel. So the policy framework requires that a surplus farm dwelling severance result in a residential lot that is limited to the minimum size necessary to accommodate the dwelling and its private servicing. In this case, staff are of the opinion that a significantly smaller parcel could be reasonably achieved that would even considering that the dwelling is set back significantly from the road. The proposed 9.1 hectare parcel goes well beyond what is required and includes lands, particularly the woodlot, that are not necessary for residential use. And while the separation between the field and the wooded area may appear logical on the ground, the policies do not support retaining additional land for amenity or lifestyle purposes as part of this type of severance application. From a land use perspective, the woodlot is still considered part of the agricultural resource. Including it within a separate residential parcel removes it from the broader farm operation and contributes to the fragmentation of our agricultural land base, regardless of whether the remaining farmland continues to be actively farmed. There is a broader concern with how this application functions. At this scale, the proposal moves beyond a typical surplus farm dwelling severance and begins to resemble the creation of a new lot in the agricultural area. In that context, the retained parcel would be well below the 40 hectare minimum lot size required by the zoning bylaw and would not represent a viable agricultural parcel based on our policy documents. So while a large portion of the farmland would remain intact, the issue is not just what remains, but what is being created. In this case, the proposal creates a parcel that is too large to be considered appropriate for surplus farm dwelling severance under the policy framework and too small to function as an agricultural land. Approving a parcel of this size would blur the distinction between a legitimate surplus farm dwelling severance and the creation of a rural estate lot and would make it increasingly difficult to apply the minimum lot size requirement consistently for future applications. For these reasons, I am of the opinion that the application is not consistent with the provincial policy or provincial planning statement, does not conform to the county and municipal official plan, and does not represent good land use planning. Accordingly, I am recommending that this application be refused. I will just touch on the fact that the application was circulated to all those required under the Planning Act. We did receive a number of comments, including the county engineer, drainage superintendent, Upper Thames as well. They did indicate that they had no objections with this consent due to the fact that the erosion hazards were being contained with the, they were not being fragmented further. We also did receive one public letter expressing concerns related to future land use, environmental impacts, and the need to address regulatory requirements prior to approval. I did respond to this neighbor, answered the questions as best as I could. I did not receive a response, so hopefully it was sufficient, but I have not had any follow-up questions or concerns about that. So I am open to questions if council has any. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Erin. So any additional information from the applicant? Anything you wish to say? Again, just come to the podium there and turn on the mic. Introduce yourself. It's in the center.
All right, I got the button. Thank you. My name is Tanya Janest, and I was up there. My business and I myself own the property, and we are just looking to do a severance that we do realize that doesn't fit in. I just have things written down so that'll make it go a lot faster, so I don't waste your time. Thank you for the opportunity to advocate on behalf of our application. We started this process with the knowledge that our request would initially be denied at the planner's level because of only one requirement that does not comply, being the severed parcel limited to the minimum size necessary. This farm has a total, I did this all in acres, did it in hectares. Farm has a total of 134 acres. 34 acres are forest environmentally protected land that runs along the edge of the Thames River, and the remaining 100 acres are prime agricultural land that has been developed and nurtured by my husband, myself, and 3 generations of the Burlott family for 20 years. We are pursuing this application because we specifically want the Burlotts to carry on farming this land even when we are no longer here. There is no interest in our future generations to farm. As we do our estate planning, we do not want the whole 134 acres to be sold to some large corporation from Toronto that might turn the farmland into a tractor trailer depot and cut the trees down without asking permission. This way, we know that the workable land stays in a 4-generation local farm family. Policy states that the dwelling parcel should be as minimal as possible. Our situation does not comply because of the location of the dwelling set back in the woods. If you look at properties bordering ours, there are 3 that are sized 25, 18, and 9 acres, all with dwellings on them. This shows that it would not be inappropriate to retain 24 acres in this location. We do our best to be good stewards of the land. We have planted over 100 trees since owning the property in 2006. Through the years, we have sought advice from Upper Thames Conservation for proper forestry management and done everything that we can to help with keeping the animals at habitat. On page 7 of the staff report, it is noted that the woodlot is recognized as agricultural use within the zoning bylaws, and that keeping it part of the farmland would support its continued use and maintenance as part of an active farming operation, where the owner is more likely to have the equipment and capacity necessary for its ongoing maintenance. I'd just like to point out that for the last 20 years, my husband and I have been responsible for the ongoing management of the whole 134 acres. We have the equipment and the capacity to continue its maintenance. We are thinking that if this consent is given for this severance, the 24 acres would continue to be zoned agricultural. The woodlot has been deemed a natural area heritage classification, including significant woodlands, as identified within the Middlesex Natural Heritage System study in 2014. It is therefore of no use to a farmer. I'd like to now address the opposition letter. These people live on the other side of the river from me. Since they've moved in, they've had a personal vendetta. Out of 8 or 9 properties that are contacted about this proposal, only one felt the need to hire someone to write a 4-page letter. Most of the comments address what the planner and council refer to as normal procedure in this consent application. One of the issues, the heritage structure that you can see from Elgin Road, that was built by my husband in 2010, and we do have a permit for it. The pottery is from earlier farmers that used to dump garbage over the edge into the river flats at the back of the farm. We cleaned up a lot of old glass bottles, metal cookware, as we have very large snapping turtles that live down there. The drainage tributary that they spoke about is actually a municipal drain referred to as the marsh drain. And if the species at risk that they also talked about, the black red horse, which is a fish, is in our area of the Thames, then I would advise this couple to stop cutting and using pesticides along their side of the river's edge. The unpermitted construction does not exist. This was witnessed in person by the bylaw enforcer and the chief building officer right after this couple filed a bylaw complaint against me last week. The neighbors that are in the closest proximity to me are actually here supporting me tonight, which is very nice. To wrap this up, I looked up the definition of a policy. It is a deliberate system of principles, guidelines, or rules to guide decisions. It acts as a framework for action. When a situation fits the guidelines, it is a simple outcome. But just because this application doesn't perfectly conform, it doesn't make it wrong. The council fortunately has the ability to adjust the framework in this instance. Severing the land at 110 acres and 24 acres is just simply the most practical solution, and it makes common sense. On the final page of the staff report, under the strategic plan link, it states, make smart planning decisions to grow the community while maintaining a hometown feel. What is more hometown than a 4-generation farming family? We need to keep prime agricultural land in our local farmers' hands while safeguarding our environmentally protected lands, forests, and the mighty Thames River. Thank you for listening and considering our application.
Thank you, Tanya. Mr. Burlock, did you want to speak as well? Do you want to introduce your first name and
So I'm Steve Brulot. I am the, I'm I'm representing Brulot Farms in this application. So I'm a 3rd-generation farmer, sorry. I get trouble when I talk about family. Yeah,
take your time, Mr. Burlock?
I might have to
Go
sit back down, but anyways, I'm a 3rd-generation farmer in Dorchester, and following in the footsteps of my grandparents, my parents, and my aunt, uncles, my kids farm. And they are the reason I am acquiring more farms. I apologize. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. My dad started farming this land. My parents actually started farming this land at 2250 Elgin Road from Randy and Tanya almost 20 years ago. As well, our family has put a lot of work into making it prime workable 100 acres that it is today. When it was jokingly suggested that we were interested in trying, and they were interested in trying to sever the farmland for us to purchase, I was all in. As far as my intentions are with this farm, there will be no changes. It is prime agricultural land that we are already renting and working at up to this point. My intent is to purchase the workable land. I have no interest in maintenance of the woodlot. As a farmer, my time, energy, and resources are best spent focusing on the land that is workable. Purchasing excess acreage that I can't work to make an income and having to pay for land, property taxes, and insurance that is not sound farming investment. It would cost me 25% more if I had to purchase the 130 acres for 30 acres that I can't use as income. There is no need for upgrade drainage. It's construction or tear down of buildings or removal of any trees. The environmentally protected river flats at the east end of the property will be left alone for the wild animal and natures to do their things. Thank you for your consideration in this matter, and sorry, I apologize for my earlier blubbering.
no apology needed? Thank you. Is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to comment on the public? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody. Anyone online, Sarah?
There's no one online, your worship.
Okay, in that case, then I will turn this over to any questions that council might have. Deputy Mayor Smyberg.
Thank you. And I think I don't really have any questions. It's just more of a comment. And I do respect the planner's report with respect to the severance. We always want to try to keep that lot as small as we can. But I think the applicant said it really well. Sometimes we need to take a look at the situations as they come up. And I think that this makes sense from a practical point of view. My question was going to be for Mr. Berlad in terms of the use of the woodland, and you made it really clear that you have no use for the woodland. So I'm supportive of approving the application, which I know isn't the staff recommendation before us tonight, but I'll just leave it at that with my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Smyberg. Anyone else? Councillor Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to both Tanya and Steve for coming out tonight. I think both of your comments really kind of solidified what we were thinking as council while reading through this while reading through the report. In speaking with Erin before, I just kind of sent a few questions on just the clarification of the Planning Act that she has to follow. And then I would say the obvious natural separation between the properties that are before us this evening. And I would like to second Deputy Mayor's comment on supporting the approval of this. I anticipate that there would be a report that would have to come back. But with that, I'll turn it over to the clerk or Councillor Heeman if he has any comments.
Councillor Heyman, did you have a comment?
Sure. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on the fit for this application. You know, I know we talk about the agricultural use of woodlots and you know, there's logging operations and potential maple syrup. I don't think there's any other agricultural uses. I may be wrong. Maybe bees. Those are the three. But I think, you know, when we look at our total resources in our land nowadays, I think we look at them as having broader contributions outside of just agriculture, not to limit what agriculture can do, but what we can do with technology now to be so productive with the existing land we have allows us the privilege of managing our forest lots differently. And that's the thought that came to mind, is that, yes, once you put it in residential, you don't have the same income opportunities, but it allows for, you know, the similar level of stewardship and a non-commercial relationship with the land. And so I was encouraged by the work that has been done to prove that point, right? That there are different relationships we can have with the land. And, you know, I know this doesn't conform with the existing policy, but maybe there's some elements of our policy that are a little bit dated. And I think we're starting to realize the non-use value of forest lands, both for, you know, carbon sequestration, biodiversity, and filtering water and all that good stuff. And on a side note, if you ever walk through a 100-year bush that hasn't been cut, it's quite the sight. So I think that's worth preserving as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Heeman. Okay, no other comments before we move on? Okay, so there being no further discussion, the public participation meeting is now closed. And we have a decision recommended, which is attached to your agenda. So it is for basically to refuse the application. So at this point, I'd like to call into council as whether Deputy Mayor Commander.
Looking at to the clerk, I would like to move. I think the resolution should be something about. Oh, it's right here. Okay, that the report of the planner's report be received and that the application for consent requested by 1441200 Ontario Inc. for lands legally described as part of lots 14 and 15. Oh, that's on the screen. And no municipal is 2250 Elgin Road be deferred, and that staff be directed to report back with conditions required for council to consider the approval of the consent.
Okay, and you are moving that? A seconder? Councillor Crockett? All in favor? And that carried. Pardon me. Okay, thanks very much for your attendance here. I'm sorry about that. This is a cold that just, pardon? Well, I didn't think you were blubbering. All right, okay then, thanks very much. All right. So item number 7.3 is to close the public participation meeting at 5:31 PM. And adjourn at, my screen keeps 5:31 in order to sit as the Committee of Adjustment under the Planning Act to consider minor variance application A3-26 listed on the April 2026 regular council agenda. Moved by Councillor Heeman and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smybert. All in favor? That carries. Okay. Erin, you're up again. Go ahead. This is to discuss the minor variance application A3-26, Rebecca McCullough and Benjamin Rolfson applicants, Matthew Thompson as the agent, and the property address is 6503 Cobble Hills Road.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. So the purpose of this application, of this application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw as it relates to the yard requirements for accessory buildings and structures. This is to allow an accessory building to be located in the front yard, which is otherwise not permitted. Sorry, I printed this very small, so I'm feeling, I know. The subject property is approximately 0.84 hectares. It's a lot situated on the west side of Cobble Hills Road, just south of Plover Mills. The lands contain an existing dwelling serviced by private well and septic system. I just want to note that this aerial photo is from 2020 and it is quite a different beast out there now. They have cleaned up a lot of the debris that seems to be leaking into the agricultural field. So if anyone had the opportunity to look at the Google Maps image, it is quite a different story out there now. The applicant is proposing to construct a 71 square meter detached garage on the north side of the property within the front yard. The zoning bylaw right now does not permit residential accessory buildings within a front yard in the agricultural zone. The building would otherwise comply with all of our other zoning requirements. The applicant is proposing to locate the structure approximately 55 meters or 180 feet from the front lot line, while the house is located approximately 70 meters from the front lot line. The applicant advised that the location was chosen to retain existing trees and to make use of the existing driveway. So the application for minor variance, of course, is based on our 4 tests. I analyzed this proposal against the 4 tests, and I'm satisfied that the 4 tests can be met. Primarily because, it is quite an isolated rural residential property. It is surrounded on all sides by agricultural fields. The nearest neighbor is quite a distance away. So the impacts of this structure in the front yard really are going to be quite minimal. It's going to be primarily, it is viewable from the road. There is not a lot of vegetation along the front. However, it is smaller in size and in height than the existing residences. From our planning rationale, we say that that's not going to become the primary focus of the property. And again, it is set back a significant distance, about 55 meters into the lot. It's not right at the front lot line, so there's no impact on the roadway or sight lines or anything of that nature. So the application was also circulated as per the requirements of the Planning Act. We did not receive any comments or concerns from any agencies or departments. So my recommendation this evening is approval subject to one condition, and it is just that the detached garage be located a minimum of 55 meters from the front lot line. That is only because the request is basically to allow for an accessory building in the front yard. That could be pretty much anywhere. It could be right at the property line. So by adding this stipulation, it requires that they adhere to the site plan that they provided to us, which is what my analysis was based on. So I will stop talking. Thank you very much. I'm here to answer questions.
Thanks very much. So is the applicant or anyone in the gallery wishing to speak to this one? Oh, okay. Would you like to say something? Come up to the mic and just push the center button and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rebecca McCullough. I'm the property owner. We bought this property about a year and a half ago. We were wishing to build a garage. Right now, due to the bylaw, we would have to take down 9 trees that are mature on the property. That's why we don't want to do that. That's why the variance is applied for today. Also around our property, interference would be our well, our septic bed. So that's the only structure right now that would not affect our property and the nature that's on our property.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone wishing to speak online to the application?
There's no one online, Your Worship.
I don't think there's anyone in the chambers at the moment. Any questions from the committee members? Councillor Cock.
I just wanted to say that the current Google Maps picture is lovely.
Okay. All right. If there's no other discussion, then the public participation hearing is now closed, and we'll move to the decision that's attached to your agenda. Mover and seconder, moved by Councillor Heeman and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Aaron. At this time, 5:37, that the Committee of Adjustment adjourned and the council reconvened its regular meeting. A mover and a seconder, Deputy Mayor Smyber and Councillor Crockett. All in favor? Okay, carries. So a mover and a seconder to approve the regular meeting minutes of the council held on April the 7th. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smyber and seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? Okay. All right. So item number 9 is the consent agenda. Items listed under the consent agenda are received for information in one motion. Council members may request that one or more items be separated for further action. Is there anything that we want pulled from this? Councillor Crockett, I think you do, don't you?
I do. I just had a question regarding 10.1 and then a comment regarding 10.9.
Okay, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. As we continue to navigate the ever-changing building homes legislation, I was just hoping that our planning department could provide at a high level if any of these recent changes are impacting current applications or situations, and then just a general clarification on our DC rates and payouts right now and how those are affected by this, if possible.
Thank you. Who would like to take this question? Our treasurer or our planner? Tag team, would you like to? Okay, whoever would like to start, please go ahead.
Sure. So through the chair, so details are unknown and we're waiting for confirmation of the bill as far as Bill 98 goes. And I think in general, it's obviously going to affect the growth plan and the affordability as a whole. taking steps with service areas to review the timing of growth projects, prioritizing growth projects just to kind of manage the monies we have and the monies we do have coming in. And I will say that changes from this bill. Once we know more information, will be incorporated into the development charges background study, which we're hoping to look at in 2020.
Yeah, and on the planning, again, we need more of the details about specifically what the proposals are. So I think I've got nothing further to offer on that.
Thank you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Any
no,
other
that's
questions on
great.
that one?
And then just in regards to 10.9, I quickly asked our Director of Public Services whether the same kind of situation that was outlined in the letter has been happening here in Thames Center. I would say not to the extent of that, but nonetheless, I would be supportive of sending the letter to the minister.
Okay. Councillor Heeman.
Yeah, I would second that. And I think, with respect to the housing bills, I think we have to wait for, there's going to be some more bills. It's probably going to be the build more homes now, and then they'll actually want us to build homes, and they build homes yesterday, and then we'll know it's actually time.
Well, we'll try to straighten it out. I'm sorry.
We have a mover and a seconder to support 10.9 and
Yeah.
send a letter.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion for 10.9. Okay, so Councillor Crockett and Deputy Mayor Smythe. Okay. And then the remaining, so that would be items number 10.1 through to 10.8 and 10.10. Deputy Mayor Smythe and Councillor Heeman, all in favor? And that carries. Okay, the next item is reports of department, and we'll look, this is regarding our reserve and reserve fund policy update. And we'll look to our Director of Financial Services, Ken Clark, to give us a report.
Through the chair to you on council, I'm really excited to bring forward an updated reserve and reserve fund policy. It's been 10 years since this policy has been looked at. So as you can imagine, there's been a few changes. The report that you have summarizes some of the major changes. I think it's going to give council sort of better reporting at, predictable times, as well as give some administrative support to the team to just help navigate and reconcile reserve funds. Happy to answer any questions that you have about the updated policy.
Thank you, Director Clark. Any questions from council or comments? Councillor Heeman.
No, I welcome this report coming forward, and I think it's long overdue. And so I appreciate you grabbing the bull by the horns, proverbially, with this. And I think, we saw in the last budget cycle, like when we have gaps in our reserves, and the interests on the reserves really matter. So I think it's worth getting a handle on what our forecasted liabilities are, how we're planning for them in terms of direct capital allocation in line with our asset management plan, and then monitoring our interests. So I welcome this, and I know we can't make a motion for the next council's budget, but I would strongly suggest that anyone listening is that they look at multi-year budgets, and I think that would work very well with the initiative you have underway.
Thanks, Councillor Heeman. Anyone else wishing to comment? No? All right, then. So we have the report before us, and the motion is that the council approve the revised reserve and reserve fund policy, and that council consider the bylaw to adopt the reserve and reserve fund policy in the bylaw portion of the agenda. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smythe and seconded by Councillor Heeman. All in favor? And that carries. Thanks, Ken. Okay, so next item on the agenda is the agreement extension with the UTRCA, the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority. And we'll look to Director McDonald to present.
Okay, thank you. Through you, your worship. Before you is report CSF 010-26 regarding an agreement extension with Upper Thames. We have had this draft agreement vetted by legal and insurance. Joining us virtually for this report and able to answer any questions you may have for them from Upper Thames are Land Management Coordinator Brandon Williamson, who's joining us live from Pembroke, Ontario tonight, along with the Manager of Lands, Facilities and Conservation Areas, Brent for sure. We have had an agreement with Upper Thames for these lands since 1994. These agreements provide cost-efficient, specialized, and technical support for planning, permitting, and natural heritage protection while helping municipalities meet provincial regulatory requirements. Municipalities can benefit from shared expertise, equipment, and resources from Conservation Authority staff, which is often more cost-effective than developing internal municipal departments for these services. As per the province, their planned consolidation of Ontario's 36 conservation authorities into 9 regional authorities by early 2027 will not impact memorandums of understanding nor agreements made with the predecessor conservation authority. They will continue under the new regional conservation authority. The key change or update to this extension is Schedule B, which provides extra details on the responsibilities of both parties and a framework whereby we work as a team to prioritize upcoming projects and determine who will bear the costs. For your information, staff is also currently working with Upper Thames on another agreement extension, that being for the Mill Pond, a Scheme 43 agreement, which will come before council with a report as soon as possible. Between Interim Director Brick, Upper Thames River Conservation Authority representatives joining us virtually, and myself, we are happy to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Thank you, Director McDonald. Any questions from council? Councillor Heeman.
Not a question, just a comment that I think that this relationship has worked out quite well for both parties. If you look at these lands that are under discussion, they're quite complex properties. When you look at flooding infrastructure and riparian buffer that also has regulated limits, and the different species at risk that tend to frequent those locations. Having the expertise of the Upper Thames, I think, allows us not only to maintain those properties, but also to access them responsibly. And I think there was a good example of that just about 2.5 years ago when the trail extension was put into this property and the bridge was repaired. And I think that we're getting quite good use out of it.
Thank you, Councillor Heeman. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So in that case, then we have the report in front of us.
Yes, so if there being no further questions, there is a recommendation on our agenda that's posted on the television monitor now. Can I get a mover, please, for the staff recommendation? Councillor Crockett, seconded by Councillor Heeman, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much to the Upper Thames and your representatives.
Hey, and we'll keep you around for a report on item number 11.3, Flight Exec Center advertisement revenue sharing.
Thank you. Before you is report CSF 012-26, which provides details on a longstanding verbal agreement on the sharing of advertising revenues from our 2 ice pads with 4 local minor sports clubs, those being the Dorchester Dolphins, Dorchester Minor Hockey Association, North Dorchester Skating Club, and the Dorchester Dragons Ringette. The purpose of this report is twofold. Firstly, to ensure council is aware of this arrangement, and secondly, to receive any direction and input from council before staff work to formalize these agreements. To ensure a consistent approach and administration and full transparency, it is in our best interest to formalize this arrangement with agreements with all 4 partners. The breakdown can be seen in the attachment to this report, with the Dolphins receiving 52%, the other 3 minor sports associations each receiving 1.26%, and Thames Center receiving 43.9% of the pre-HST revenues. For your information as well, I've reached out to other municipalities towns and cities in the area to see what they are doing in this regard. And thus far, every response has been a different approach, including Woolwich Township. They retain 50% of the revenue and then share the rest with similar groups. Whereas the Township of West Lincoln, they pay a third party to handle all aspects of their advertising. And that business keeps half of the revenue and the other half goes back to West Lincoln. Whereas the town of Hanover does not share any of their ad revenue. For us, for Thames Center, this arrangement aligns with recommendation 74 of the Community Service and Facilities Master Plan as a method to assist these public partners with being able to provide the best value to residents. And with that being said, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you, Director McDonald. Any questions? Councillor Heeman?
I just applaud this initiative. I think that when we look at our public infrastructure, many times, they're not just used for private commerce, but also for the fundraising for our community groups. And I think this is a really good intersection of that. And I think it's good to have our volunteer organizations benefiting from their work, and that keeps them interested and it keeps them healthy. So thank you for the suggestion.
Thank you, Councillor Heeman. Deputy Mayor Smybury?
Yeah, along the same lines as Councillor Heeman, obviously, if this arrangement has been working, it makes sense to continue with that. I do understand that there are different models out there in terms of revenue sharing for advertisements, but again, I think it's important to recognize the partnerships that we have with our minor hockey, minor sports organizations, and also the Dolphins. So thank you for the report.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Smybury. If there are not any other questions, the motion before you is that report number CSF -012-26 be received for information, and that council directs staff to enter formal contracts with each group receiving a portion of the Flight Exec Center arena advertising revenue. Moved by Councillor Crockett and seconded by Deputy Mayor Smybury. And all in favor? And that carries. Thank you. The next item is the RFT Surface Treatment Award Tender. I'll look to our Director of Public Works to present.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Your Worship. PW 01526 RFT for Surface Treatment Award. Council is asked to award the supply and placement of surface treatment to Miller Paving Limited for $833,149, including HST, and authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement. The single surface treatment will be applied to Gladstone Drive and Carmody Drive. The sole bid met specifications. Miller Paving's net quote aligns with the 2026 capital budget of $760,000 as well. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jerry. Deputy Mayor Smybury?
Just one question that's dealing with the sole bid received. Were there any other companies that took out bids, or is there maybe an explanation as to why we only received one?
Through your worship, we had other plan takers as well. We read the sewer procurement policy or procurement, resources at the county, and they said it was in line with awarding.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, then in that case, the motion before you is that report number PW 015-26 RFT surface treatment be awarded, received for information. That council approves the awarding of RFT TC -001-26 for the supply and placement of surface treatment to be awarded to Miller Pavement Limited in the amount of $833,149, including HST, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the supply and placement of surface treatment agreement with Miller Paving Limited. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smybury and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? And that carried. Thank you. No reports of committees and no unfinished motion business, but we do have a notice of motion, so I'll turn to Councillor Crockett to speak to it.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to preface the motion, I had an opportunity to speak with Melanie Biddick from the Rural Ontario Institute last week regarding a personal want to be involved in this program as a mentor. And through that conversation, it kind of steamrolled into the opportunity of Thames Center becoming a part of it, and ultimately Middlesex as well. So reading the motion before us is whereas the Rural Ontario Institute delivers the Rural Change Makers program to support and mentor young leaders in developing community-driven economic development initiatives, and whereas becoming a municipal partner enables the municipality of Thames Center to support local youth leadership, encourage community engagement, and advance place-based projects align with municipal priorities, and whereas participation provides an opportunity to strengthen local capacity, foster innovation, and contribute to long-term rural resilience and growth. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Thames Center approves entering into a partnership with the Rural Ontario Institute for the Rural Change Makers program, and that information and this motion be sent to the County of Middlesex and other Middlesex County lower tier municipalities. And further, that staff be directed to support promotion of the program, assist with recruitment of local participants, and report back to council on outcomes and opportunities arising from the partnership. Just to conclude before a vote on that, I did share additional information with staff ahead of putting this motion forward. And at this time, I think that we're able to move forward with our current capacity. So thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Crockett. Does Councillor Heeman for a comment?
Yeah, I would like to speak in favor of the motion through the form of a personal anecdote. In my final year of university, I was able to meet Peter Hannum, who was one of the founders of the Rural Ontario Institute, and he founded it with the goal of promoting the development of rural organization or farm organization and rural leadership capacity for the industry, for advocacy purposes, and for better government. And one of their main programs was the Advanced Agricultural Leadership Program, which I was able to participate in and graduate from. And I feel that that is a program that has given me the skills to participate in our municipal government and prepared me for, the challenges we've had over the, the many years. So I think that this is a really good program to start that even earlier and to bring that program not just into the boardrooms, but into our high schools and, right here to Thames Center. So I think good idea.
Thanks, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Smyber.
Great, thank you. I also support this and thank you for bringing it forward, Councillor Crockett. I think anytime that we can engage our community members, especially with the youth, I think that will bring us some unique perspectives in terms of, some of the issues that we're dealing with around the council horseshoe. I think that would be really valuable. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this program is implemented. And again, thank you for bringing this forward.
Thank you. So moved by and seconded by Councillor Heeman, all in favor? And that carries. You're welcome. Slight change in our agenda due to some time constraints. I'm going to ask council for a motion to go into closed session for which there will be no recording. Moved by Deputy Mayor Smyber and seconded by Councillor Crockett. All in favor? Good, that carries. Thanks very much.